What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the show here on For Collectors. This is Hobby Hotline, episode 358. I am here with two phenomenal content creators and people here, hosts on the show. We got Uncle Rich Klein and Chris Harris. Rich, how has your week been? What you been doing?
Week was good. I mean, I do my normal ComC stuff. I went on Thursday. My shoes were ready to die. So on the way back, I said, let me stop at my LCS. It's the opening day at Topps Basketball, and I bought a blaster, and they had a little party for that, which was nice. And I'm here, and there's some fun topics this week. And I think, and we'll talk about this more in detail, but I think with what Topps is doing in basketball on a global level is really a very solid marketing and business plan.
Right. Yeah, that's one thing I was impressed by, actually, was the marketing rollout. We'll kind of get into that a little bit as we get into the show. It's obviously Topps basketball week. But Chris, same question to you. How's your week been going? What you been up to?
Yeah, I had a good week. Last weekend, I went to what was probably the final CSA show at the Dulles Expo Center in Chantilly, because for those that don't know, the Chantilly show is being evicted. That hall is being turned into an IKEA. So,
oh geez.
Yeah, there are other venues in the Washington D.C. area that could host. I've heard National Harbor. I've even heard Baltimore, which would be great to have it. So I know they had a few nationals in the 2010s there, and I think Baltimore would be great for the new Chantilly show. So yeah.
Hey, Chris, wait a second. You get meatballs with the card show too. If let IKEA create a card show space and just have some of their famed meatballs.
I think you'll see a lot of hockey at an IKEA card show, especially European hockey. So.
Yeah, we got Abel in Vegas said they held a party for Uncle Rich to open a blaster. What a cool hobby shop. Love that. Abe, sorry, excuse me. Abel. Yeah, Abel. Shout out to the chat also. Make sure you leave a comment if you don't mind. Let us know where you're watching the show this morning. I know we are this is a global show. It's a live show. I think we got people from all over the world. Whenever I ask that question, it's really cool to see, people from the West, the Midwest, the East Coast, overseas. I know some people have said like Dubai sometimes. It's kind of a cool atmosphere that we have all of these people. And yeah, so this is the October 1st was the takeover, or not, well, I guess it was a takeover. Yeah, so takeover for Topps for basketball. And they announced they had this rollout when they were going to be coming out with the products, and then this Wednesday or Thursday, depending on when you were able to get it, depending on if your hobby shop or any of these places put out any of the product any early. Mine did not. My Walmart, I went on Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday to look for it, and they did not have it, unfortunately. But there's some decently big stories that came out of this first week of Topps basketball, and the first one we actually are going to be discussing is going to be a player who was not on the checklist, the flagship checklist, Luka Doncic. And so he wasn't on the base checklist. People didn't really know why. They didn't know if he was not going to have any Topps cards, or if he was going to be, only in a couple different sets, or what it was exactly. Because there's a big list of players who are still Panini exclusives, or they don't have exclusive deals with Topps for autographs. So Luka, he has a Topps Now card, so he's going to be hopefully in some of these other sets. Probably not any autographs necessarily. But Rich, I'll start with you. Luka, big deal, big name in this product. And then also if you have any other kind of initial thoughts on Topps basketball as we start the show here.
Well, I'm not a contract expert, unlike Chris, who's probably read a lot more contracts. But if if Topps really has the contracts with the NBA and the NBA PA, unless the players, like some of the NFL players way back in the day, Eric Dickerson was a good example, Earl Campbell, they didn't go into those contracts. But unless you have somebody not in the contracts, everybody who's in the NBA PA shows up in the card set. So I do not know whether Luca has a separate marketing deal. If he does, then it's a different issue. If he doesn't, then he should be in just about every card set. I loved this is just forgetting value. When I opened the box, it was perfect. The blaster was perfectly fine. I didn't get anything really great. I got some nice cards. But what I was really impressed with out of all things was how readable everything was. It was a throwback to the old days. The backs were incredibly readable. The front photos were good. Everything was clear to the customer. And we need more of that in the hobby. It was not happy, shiny. It was just a good, solid card set. And I was also impressed by how Topps did the rollout. They had posters they gave away. They had, a lot of the card show stores, as I noticed, did parties. It wasn't just my local card store. A lot of them had parties. Some of them, they were able to arrange NBA players to come for the opening days at some of the local card stores. I know the card store, my local card store has like 16 franchises around the world, including one in Singapore.
Wow,
But
nice.
George Hill, who has played in the NBA, showed up at one of the other local stores here in the DFW area. There were players coming opening day. Not that he collects basketball cards, but I know Derek Lively, I've seen him at shows trading Pokemon cards with kids.
Nice.
So there's a lot of, one thing with the Fanatics take over the world is a lot of the athletes are now more card oriented, which is a good thing because they understand that market. Where, when we were growing up, when I was growing up, when dinosaurs ruled the earth, and Chris was growing up in the 70s and 80s and 90s, card collectors among players were a very rare breed. Gary Carter collected cards. A few other people collected cards, but that was about it. Now there's a significant number, and Topps Fanatics knows how to take advantage of that.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, totally. And Chris, I'll kind of, ask you a similar question here. Like what, I guess, what are your thoughts here on the Luca card, but also like, what are kind of some of your initial thoughts on just the Topps basketball rollout here?
First of all, have they announced that there's going to be a Series 2 or an update set? Because maybe they might be holding him back for that. I doubt it. I would think you would want, if you're just going to make one series without an update set, that you would want all of the superstars. Maybe they just forgot.
Right. With other topics we'll get into, maybe there was just a bit of communication issue, but yeah.
But it's structured almost identically, for better or for worse, as Topps Baseball's flagship. Same designs, same mountain of parallels, same reprint insert. I think this year for basketball, they did the 80-81 set, the try 3 cards but it's just one.
Right.
Same concepts, like I said. I think a lot of those concepts work better with the basketball audience. But yeah, I mean, I think this was probably the most hyped sports card release in any sport. I can't remember a product release like this before. Just the anticipation. And yes, I will give credit to Topps for marketing this very well. So
yeah, I think. Oh yes, go ahead.
I will also point out that if you really think about it, the reason the release party was scheduled for when it was, is I know in some sports, the NBA's been a little bit different over the years, but you can't put people, especially in baseball and hockey, into the sets until they've actually played in an NHL or or in a Major League Baseball game. If the NBA thing is pretty similar, you can't put them in until they're on the roster to begin the season.
Right.
So
Yeah, and I
you
think
can't
No
have
flags in the
you
set,
can't
and
have
he
a
doesn't
Cooper
play
Flag Maverick
until
card on
yeah.
October 1st if the season begins October 20th. And I'll wager that's why the release was scheduled for a couple days after the official opening of the basketball season.
Right. Yeah, and I think I have a similar question too, and I know someone in the comments actually said so. TJ is online, said there's going to be multiple series. They didn't call it Series 1 or Series, so and maybe they're just not going to call it Series 1, Series 2, Topps Update. Maybe it'll just be flagship and then Topps Update potentially. Because I just don't see why Topps would not come out with an update. Like, clearly it's a popular set for baseball, and if it's a popular set for baseball, you can probably think that it would be good for basketball. Like, I think that that's probably the case. Or maybe they're just going to go to this one set and there's going to be flagship, and then there's going to be Topps Chrome, and then there's going to be Topps Finest, or whatever the other couple of sets they're going to come out with for basketball will be. But I think it doesn't say Series 1 on there, so I think that would imply that there won't be a Series 2. There could be a Topps update, but I guess that's, something that we will have to wait. Something we'll have to wait and see for sure.
Do we know what the next Topps basketball product is going to be, and have they released a checklist for it?
That no on both those questions. So that's again, these are
okay. So that I think will that be a clue if
right,
Luka Doncic is in that set.
Right. That's
there may be
I mean,
some
that's why
stuff that we're not privy to regarding Doncic and his relationship vis-a-vis to Topps. So
right. Yeah, and I mean that's why I think that this card is a significant piece of news, because for Luka not to be on the base checklist, it seems like a miss there. I don't know why they wouldn't include him. Like it must have been some sort. It could have been a mistake, and that actually will kind of get into. I think I'm going to transition to the second topic here, which is, unfortunately, there was maybe some marketing issues that went along with one of the variations in Topps basketball. So it was reported, or it's been reporting, that Topps was going to make these numbered variations, which we've seen for baseball, which baseball is kind of the only sport we've seen it. But like, they were promoting these cards as if there was only going to be, only one of the Wembanyama. There would only be two of, I think, LaMelo Ball is number 2. But as it appears, there have been multiple people that have pulled the Tyrese Halliburton version of this card. So then when you click into some of the information about the checklist, it says that the card is numbered to 20, which, kind of defeats the purpose of the player number variation. Like, if they're going to call it that, it should, I don't know if they should be calling it that. If, like, for example, also, we probably should have known that something was up when they're doing number variations, and then a player like Tyrese Halliburton and Jason Tatum are on the checklist when they're both number 0. So it's like, how do you do that? It doesn't really make much sense. So, that was probably, if I had to guess, just a miscommunication from Topps and with their marketing team and their development team for the products. So Chris, I'll start with you here, since you were kind of mentioning some of the things. What were your kind of thoughts? I don't know if you saw this or not, but what are your thoughts on this type of maybe confusion that Topps is seeing and why it could have happened?
Yeah, in baseball, they are numbered to the player's jersey number. So a Mike Trout was numbered to 27. Judge is numbered to 99, that kind of thing. Yeah, how do you do that with a player whose jersey number is 0?
Right.
Interesting.
I mean, they have done the like negative parallels, but like, I don't think, I don't know how you. Again, it was clearly just a mistake, by somebody, I guess, unfortunately.
I guess they should have made it clear that they're going to be numbered to 20 instead of the player's number, but
yeah.
So
right. Rich, how about you? What were your thoughts, sort of, if this was a story that you saw?
I didn't see it, to be honest. It's not, it's not something that really impacts my life any. Having said that, I am more of the, hey, people, especially when you're creating a product for the first time, even if you're using other things, and I want to show Topps some grace here, you never know until you do it. Having created books, when I did the first Beckett Almanac of baseball cards, which later became the Beckett Almanac of Baseball Cards and Collectibles, there were things I missed totally doing that book that by the time I when I left after in the 12th book, I had it totally down packed. So people, as you learn as you go, and not everybody knows what they're doing when they're doing something until you actually do it. I know that sounds like a Casey Stengelism,
Right, right.
but you don't know until you actually do it. And so showing them some grace on, creating something, it makes sense. And if you have a player with the uniform number 0, what do you not create the card for them? The invisible card. So there's something about that is interesting. But think about if the NFL had that in the 60s and 70s, Jim Otto would have had no cards.
Right. Yeah.
Hall of
Yeah.
Famer.
I mean, I think the number of variations, it's a cool concept, but I think it's just, I don't know if it hits the way that I think Topps is expecting it to like hit, no pun intended, from a baseball perspective. Cause like that was where they really debuted it, was with baseball and with the flagship set. Like it's a cool, I don't know, just
it's just another parallel now.
Right. Exactly. Yeah.
And,
so, it's unfortunate that there was some miscommunication from the Topps marketing team and the Topps product. And I think this is something that I've, talked about on, I do a show for sports card nonsense. And I've talked about how when you have companies like Topps and they get acquired by Fanatics and they are continuing to grow, and now they're taking over the basketball license, and you continue to grow as the company grows, because if you are a company like Fanatics, you want to continue to grow so that way you can continue to show investors that there's growth. Sometimes the departments just continue to grow, but then they don't continue to communicate. Like you have the people who maybe when there was 1 or 2 people in the department, they would communicate with the other 1 or 2 people in the other department. But when you have 15 people in the department and maybe the one person is in a different department, the communication kind of breaks down a little bit in that, unfortunately. So, this was unfortunately a miss by Topps here, by them just, not marketing it correctly, which it's like you said, Chris, it's just a parallel. It's really not that big of a deal. And it's not like people are chasing this card. Like it's not like something where people are like, I need to get this card. And now that the Wembanyamas and all of these people are going to be numbered to 20 instead of rather numbered to 1 or numbered to 2, or however they were planning on doing numbered to 0, I don't think it changes necessarily my thoughts on it. It's just an unfortunate mistake. And yeah, again, like Rich said, sometimes you got to make the book to understand how to make a book, so it's like sometimes you got to come out with a product so that way you can come out with so that way you know how to do it. I think that's sort of the thought process.
And unless you're a breaker that's opening up metric tons of this product, you're probably not going to find these cards anyway, so don't worry about it.
Right. That's another, yeah. And if they're numbered to 20, that means they're just gonna be more rare. That's sort of the part of it, I think.
And I want to kind of backtrack for a second. And this sounds like I'm praising Topps, but I think they've done this in baseball as well this year. Unlike previous years of all these sports, products have room to breathe. Mm-hmm. You're not, for the most part, in all these sports, they're not dumping one product on top of another. There's, if it's a month before the next Topps basketball product comes out, Topps flagship has a month to, at the very least, to breathe, to people getting back into Topps doing it. And when I talk about Topps marketing, that's part of that as well. Understanding that their flagship product, the most important product they do in any of their sports, can breathe, be the one to be at the card stores. And then they can get to the Topps Tribute and Topps Pristine and Topps, $5,000 box. Then they can get to those later. But they want to make sure that their opening products are accessible to everybody. And that's part of the whole marketing. And a chase for a really good card is nice. And there'll be other really good cards to chase too. And believe me, I'm not going to get them out of blaster boxes for the most part. And that's okay.
Right.
But there'll be people who will be able to get those really nice cards out of the wax box, the cello box or jumbo box, sometimes even the blasters, sometimes even just the random pack. And that's okay.
Right. And so that's sort of, I think, gets into what you were just saying, Rich, into our next topic. Pretty great transition there. Is like this product you should be able to get. Like, it shouldn't be one that is hard to find, I don't think. And I think based on the numbers, based on somebody put together like the pack odds and different configurations, there's going to be 1.2 million copies of each card, basically. So, and then in total, apparently, there's going to be 469.2 million cards in total. So this is clearly a product that Topps wants everyone to have. And we haven't heard any confirmation about what the next product is. So, like, if this product has a month, I'm sure there's going to be tons of stories of people pulling great cards or mistakes out of this product. And, Chris, I'll ask you this question. Do you think that that's a decent what do you think of the strategy here? Like, do you think the strategy of this product being such a huge marketing push and there being so much of it, like what are your kind of thoughts on that overall?
I don't think the shelf life for this product is just going to be 1 month. If there's no Series 2 and if this is the only Topps flagship basketball release of the year, I mean, the window is probably going to be till the end of the NBA season. And that's not necessarily a bad thing either. I think, well, first of all, yes, they're making a metric ton of this product.
Mm-hmm.
And with that, they're going to be making a metric ton of money, they being Fanatics.
Right.
That's not necessarily a bad thing either. I think there are certain products that don't need to be super limited, only available for breakers, only available that cost $3,000, $4,000, $5,000. Those products are going to come. Just
right.
Give us a product that's designed primarily for the rest of us. So,
right. And actually, so Rich, I'll ask you a question here. How do you think it is up to Topps to market this product as something where there's going to be a ton of it? The cards may not have a lot of value, like on the secondary market, and then there will be other products that will be a bit harder to find, and the cards will probably be more valuable on the secondary market. Do you think that that's something that Topps needs to communicate about this? Because I feel like people are a little bit confused thinking that this product is going to be one that, like, I saw some people in the comments actually saying that, like, people were complaining on Twitter that the cards weren't what they expected in the value. So do you think it's up to Topps to communicate something like that? Or do you think it's just something that the industry or people within the industry just have to kind of figure out on their own?
Well, on the basic level, Topps' marketing job is to sell cards, period, end of sentence. And if you get something good out of it, it's even better. And based on what they've done with baseball over the years, they do a really good job of the joy of opening packs, especially of the flagship products. They've always done a good job with that. So it's okay to understand, and I think collectors instinctively understand, base cards in Topps flagship products aren't going to have a lot of value for the most part. If Cooper Flag, yes. Anthony Davis, okay. Derek Lively, the second, nice player, not going to be worth as much. And I think people instinctively understand that. So, when what they don't do in these products, unlike some of the expensive products of the world, is hype the one-of-one signatures or hype this and hype that. This is more for the average collector to have a good time. It's, at least the blasters are still affordable.
Mm-hmm.
But really the idea is to have an affordable product where everybody can be in. You need to have some of these in the world. If everything you have is geared to the upper level collector, then you're going to start freezing out, frankly, many of the people who watch our show. We do have some upper level collectors, but we also have a lot of, people who like to grind out their collections, and that's a good thing.
Right.
And they understand instinctively, if you really want to grow the hobby 10x, You can grow at 10x by doing it financially by only doing expensive products, but you have to get people into it. And you have to have at least something with a lower barrier to entry to get people into collecting.
Right. Yeah, totally. And so, Chris, I'll maybe ask you a similar question. Do you think it's Topps responsibility to like communicate what certain products should be for? I guess. I mean, it's kind of a little bit of a different one, but like this product is clearly supposed to be a product that everybody can get. Do you think that it is Topps responsibility to market it that way, or do you think that it is the market's responsibility to just accept that that's what Topps is doing here with this Topps product?
It's flagship
Right.
basketball. Topps flagship. I think it should be pretty much well known that flagship products are not really designed. First of all, they're affordable. They're somewhat collectible. I mean, you can build the base set if you want without breaking your bank. And look, I mean, if you're looking for big mojo hits, value adds, and gimmicks, yeah, they're there, but they shouldn't be the primary drawing card of these products. That should pretty much be well understood by most people buying this product. If you're buying a hobby box of any flagship product and hoping to hit like a $200, $500, or a $1,000 card, you're just buying the wrong product.
Right.
Sorry. Leave a little something for the rest of us is what I'm saying.
Right. Yeah. Right. Yeah. I agree. And you know, Bob here kind of, I think he laid it out sort of maybe a little bit better than I explained it. Just the framework of the product hierarchy. On one hand, you know, the market determines that. I think, you know, Topps they do price things in a certain way, but for the most part, like, you know, a lot of Panini products or any products you're seeing in retail, they're mostly all the same price. Like you might see a $5 to $10 difference between, you know, like Donruss or Prism for basketball, or it used to be, but not so much anymore. But I just think that, like, I think you are actually totally correct here. Like with its flagship, everyone should just, you know, and it maybe is just people don't want to accept the fact that it's just like going to be one of these types of products. Maybe they are expecting because of, you know, I don't know. I'm not sure. Maybe that's a good, maybe I'll ask you, Rich, this question. Why do you think, like, do you think that people are expecting this product to be better than it is? Like, because like, you know, Chris said, it's just flagship. So like people should be expecting flagship to just be something that everyone can get, and it's like not hard to do. So I don't know. Is that something that you've seen online, Rich, at all, or is that maybe something that I'm conflating in my head?
I think when you have a product come into the world with high expectations, and there's no doubt that Topps flagship came in with very high expectations, and frankly, I think they've met the minute in about 98% of the cases. But when you have high expectations, everybody expects more too.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And, you know, back in the day, opening your first Topps pack is a great way to start any year.
Right.
This is the first Topps basketball product in 10, 15 years. I don't remember how long, but it's been a while.
Oh, no.
So there's a lot of pent-up enthusiasm for Topps basketball. Because, as I said, they market well. There's a history with Topps, even though the basketball history is far more convoluted than any other of the major sports.
Right.
They have a 57 set, then a 69-70 set. They go through the 70s. Then Star Basketball and Fleer take over. They don't come back to 92, 93. Then they go away again when Panini gets the license exclusive. They're all over the place. So they don't have quite the same continuity they had in baseball. So there's a lot of pent-up enthusiasm for Topps that may just not have been there if, and this is not an insult to the people at Panini or Upper Deck, if Panini and Upper Deck come out with and they don't, you know, if Upper Deck comes back with a full baseball product next year, and they're not, so don't, but I'm just doing this
hypothetically.
It would be the first Upper Deck product since like 2010 in baseball. But I don't think people my age, who collected back in the day, are as excited about Upper Deck coming back because we didn't grow up with Upper Deck. We got Upper Deck when we were adults. Almost everybody in the hobby got Topps when they were a kid. And that's the difference. And that's why there was such a pent-up enthusiasm for Topps coming out this year.
First of all,
yeah, and I remember you had mentioned that. Yeah, I remember you had mentioned that before the show. Chris, go ahead.
Okay, two things that Rich said. The last 10 years that Topps had the basketball license, so from 99, 2000 to 2008, 2009, that 10-year period, Topps lost money on basketball every year except for the LeBron James rookie year.
Right.
So that should tell you how far basketball cards have come over the last 15 years during Panini's license time with the license. Just doing a quick Google check of how much a hobby box of Topps basketball is going for. It's going for about, I know it came out at 109 that you could buy direct for a while directly from Topps. Now the market price is about $250 to $275 a box.
Wow.
I'm sorry, but you're not going to get $250 worth of cards in a hobby box unless you get one of those Victor Wembanyama's numbered to 20, which probably not.
Right.
So yeah, this product, the anticipation for this product has bid up the price of wax to a point where it's kind of overvalued now. So I would suggest that you wait. There's going to be plenty of retail. I know you just showed a list of, there's like 8 or 9 different retail versions of this product that are going to be coming out between, Black Friday blasters, super boxes, hanger boxes. If you just want to collect the product, you will have plenty of options, and you probably don't need to spend $250 on a hobby box. So,
yeah, and I mean, so I think that example you just said right there is sort of why I almost feel like Topps needs to figure out how to. I don't know. I mean, it's.
And a lot of those retail SKUs are not out yet.
Right.
I know blasters are out, but the Black Friday blasters are probably not going to come out until Black Friday.
Right. Or if you're Panini and you want to come out with all of your holiday boxes in October, that's maybe an option as well. Like that's been a little bit unfortunate. Or they had like an advent calendar that came out like I don't know when that was supposed to come out for Absolute. Absolute's not supposed to come out until November 5th or something like that. And there was an Absolute. People were posting the kabooms on eBay already because of all that stuff. So I don't know. Topps sold those boxes at 110. It is unfortunate to me that people are actually spending $200 and $250 on those boxes because, like you said, if you pull some sort of rare Wembanyama or like some sort of rare LeBron, you might get a little bit back. But like, I think the fact that Topps sold the boxes to customers at 110 should be an indicator that you shouldn't be buying them for double. Like I know that it's tough because you want the box and you want it now, and people don't. Maybe people would be willing to spend an extra $100 to get that box, but it is not. You're not even getting like if people that are spending $200 are expecting to get $200 out of the box, they're going to get like $10 to $15 probably out of that box, and it's going to be maybe a good starter if you want to collect all the cards, but you're just not getting all the value. And that's sort of the point that I was trying to make, where Topps somehow, I don't know, and maybe this is me, I don't know, trying to fix something in the hobby that I don't like, but it's just like, I worry that people are buying these boxes and they don't know what they're getting out of them. And I just don't know if Topps has done a good enough job of being like, hey, you're not really getting that much out of the box. But at the same time, maybe they can't do that.
I don't think it's collectors that are buying that are paying that much.
I want to interject something here.
Okay. Go ahead, Rich.
Many of the Topps that used to be Panini product managers. I worked with it back in the day, and this is going to be something public that we've talked about many years ago with Dr. Beckett's dinners that he would tape and put on his podcasts. They know when they do the box, if the box came out at $110, they know they tried to arrange the box to have the average box having, we'll call it $110 value, maybe 100, 120, some better, yeah, sometimes some not as good.
Mm-hmm.
But they know how to do that. And they're not always real happy either when a box just explodes in price because of FOMO, the fear of missing out.
Mm-hmm.
So that may not be, Topps may have actually marketed at 110, and the secondary market, which remains undefeated, took it to 200. And if people start getting disappointed in it, it'll come back down. So I don't have the same fear that everybody else does. The market will make the decision as to what the market will do.
Right. And then, Chris, you had one other thing to say?
Yeah, I think the people that are buying these boxes at $250 are not buying them are not collectors. I think they're breakers looking for inventory. So
right. Yeah, that could be the case. And yeah, so with Topps being out, obviously it's only been like 3 or 4 days, and the 1-of-1 Cooper flag has already been pulled. I know I've seen a couple other 1-of-1s get pulled. You know, the card looks nice. You know, it's going to be probably one of the best cards out of that box. So like, now that we know that this card has been pulled, you know, this is maybe one of the other things. It's like, I almost wish there was some sort of way to track these cards when they get pulled. And, you know, and maybe that would affect the price. Like, again, I don't really know. But so, you know, Chris, I'll start with you here. I think we'll probably quickly go through this topic before we get into the last two here. But like, what were your thoughts on this card? Did you see that it got pulled?
I did see that got pulled. I saw a number of other 1s-of-1 and low number parallels get pulled. And this is what I don't understand, okay? If I'm Topps, if you follow Topps on social media, it's like every other post is, look at this low numbered card, or look at this superfractor that somebody pulled. Do you really want to advertise that? Because you're basically, whether you know it or not, you're saying somebody already hit this card, so you might as well not even bother anymore. I don't understand why Topps does that. But you said it took 4 days for the Cooper flag. Well, it's not a super fractor. What do they call them? Foil fractors?
Yeah, and the flagship, I think it's foil fractor.
I'm kind of surprised it took that long, to find it. But yeah, it's out there now. So if you're hoping to take a chance, too bad.
Well, it's a delicate dance for the for fanatics, because yes, you don't necessarily want to publicize that the best card is gone. On the other hand, you want people who buy your products to think, look at all these good cards you can get out of a pack. Right. So it's kind of a delicate dance where you have to try to figure out what's the best way to show the best cards. And if somebody pulls the best card, there's a lot of other good cards. I also saw, and I don't remember his name, but the young man for the 76ers who's third all time now in
Edgecombe, yeah. The black parallel to 10.
His 1-of-1 superfractor was pulled as well.
Mm.
And so, but there's other people. Could you imagine a Luka? Has the Luka 1-of-1 been pulled? Has a LeBron 1-of-1 been pulled? There's other good players, really good. Kevin Durant 1-of-1.
I don't think the Luka 1-of-1 will
Luka might not be in there. I don't think he's on the checklist. But
okay. Well,
but we understand.
I know what you mean.
Yeah.
Steph Curry 1-of-1. I mean, all these guys. I don't get Cooper flag, but maybe I prefer getting a Steph Curry because he's guaranteed to be a Hall of Famer.
Right, exactly.
So that's a way of showing, look, the average collector can get something good out of a box. So it's kind of a delicate dance. And not every time does the best card out of the pack at the start of the year when it's a rookie. And I live in Dallas, so I sure hope Cooper Flag becomes everything they hope that he is.
Right. Yes.
But not every time the best card out of the pack the first year is the one that ends up being the best card out of the pack. Was Patrick Mahomes the best card out of the pack in 2017? Was Lamar Jackson the best card out of the pack in his rookie year? I don't think so. Mike Trout certainly wasn't the best card out of the update pack in 2010 or 11, whenever his update rookie was.
By the way, I don't think the 09-010 Steph Curry Super Fractor is ever publicly
That is correct. It
emerged.
has never surfaced.
Right. Yeah.
So,
same with the like
same.
1 of 1 Luca Prism 1 of 1. I don't think that one's ever surfaced either. So, it's you see those types of cards, and it's like that's the one that everyone wants, and we may never see it. It's really kind of an interesting dynamic. So we do have one last topic here with Topps basketball, and I'll be interested to hear what you guys think about this. I don't know how much of a story it is necessarily. So apparently in Cooper Flag's debut, well, not apparently, we know this for sure, he wore 3 different jerseys throughout the game, which meant that the patch on his jersey, there was 3 different patches that had to be put onto the jersey. People were pretty upset with Topps that like they didn't publicly say something about it. Topps has come out and said that they're going to destroy 2 of the 3 patches, which again, people don't really trust Topps and Fanatics. So, there's much skepticism about what actually is happening here. But so Rich, I'll start with you here first before I'll let you guys go first before I give more thoughts on it. But like, Rich, what were your thoughts here? Like on that, you're a Dallas fan too.
That was the first, when you mentioned that was the first I heard about it. And my first thought was way back in the day, one of the few people, there were people who actually knew about the hobby, Pete Rose, Gaylord Perry. And when Gaylord Perry, the story is when he pitched the complete game, that was his 300th victory as a major leaguer, he wore 9 different jerseys that day.
Yep.
Could you imagine, in those days, they weren't putting pieces of jerseys in, on cards. Could you imagine if there were 9 different jerseys they made cards? They used to make cards of. You could have 5,000 Gaylord Perry 3,000 game jersey cards. So
I think they did the same thing with Emmitt Smith. I think I saw a video where Emmitt Smith, when he broke the rushing record, he changed every piece of his uniform every quarter. Like he wore a new jersey during a different quarter, socks, pants, everything. Like literally he went to the locker room and changed out of everything. So yeah, I mean, again, it's not something that's super unusual or not normal, but
right. The thing about Emmitt is Emmitt's family owned a card store. Emmitt was very clued into the hobby. His family had, I think it was in Orlando, his family had a card store, or Pensacola. I'm sorry, it was Pensacola, but I remember his family had a card store. So Emmitt has always been very hobby conscious. In fact, a slight digression. I remember we went to, when I was at Beckett way back in the day, we got tickets somehow to the debut of the Cowboys Super Bowl, the year they won the Super Bowl in '92. We got tickets to the debut party they had to open, to show the video. And Emmitt was there. And meeting Emmitt, the first words out of his mouth when he found out we worked for Beckett is, "Why isn't my 110T card priced higher?" So, there are people that understand the card market. And, even then. So Emmitt, to his credit, always understood what was going on. So if I do not know if Cooper Flag is a collector, but if he is, there's a good logical reason right there why he did that.
Right.
Because he understands that the more jerseys you have, all those jerseys were legitimate opening night jerseys. So it's nothing that hasn't been done before.
Right. Exactly. Yeah, Chris, kind of similar question. What were your thoughts about this topic?
Yeah, it is common for players to wear more than one jersey in a game. So let's get that out of the way. Now, as far as the debut patch, of all the stupid things that Topps has done over the years, I don't think Topps would be this stupid to make more than one debut patch 1/1 card.
Right.
Imagine if a second Paul Skeens debut patch card just magically showed up out of nowhere. If that second card exists, what would happen? I mean, credibility of this whole debut patch program would go up in smoke. So
Right.
Apparently the other two debut patches on the other two jerseys were removed and destroyed. I guess we have to take them at their word. Although it would be interesting.
I mean, they're not gonna. Oh, you go for it. Yep.
If some other guy like comes up from the G League and plays for the Mavericks, and they just happen to have an extra debut patch, and it's sewn on that one, their jersey, and it happened to come off of Cooper Flagg's old jersey, the third jersey or second jersey he wore in his debut, the same patch. If that ever came out, how much? Well, I don't know if that would happen, but it would be interesting to see if it did. But we'll take them at their word that those other two patches were destroyed.
All I know is a second scene, dude. I'd ask Livy to come sign the second one for me.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I think that. I think that they definitely destroyed them. I think that these patches, you know, it's just like a piece of plastic. I don't think it's that expensive. I don't think they're penny pinching on debut patches necessarily. But yeah, like if the patch hypothetically, like, you know, I don't know if they were trying to penny pinch, like why destroy them? Why not just put it on a different jersey hypothetically? I don't know if they would do that. I guess like if the, you know, I don't know how they, like I know with baseballs, they authenticate it. So I'm sure that someone's authenticating the patch as soon as it comes off. But you know, we had that controversy with like the Red Sox player a couple during the season where his patch just fell off, and then when he was wearing it in the bullpen, then when he gets into the game he's not wearing the patch, and people are like, hey, what the hell is going on here? And it's like, well, you know, pitchers on one hand, they just are going, their arms are obviously going crazy, but like I think I've heard people talk about it, like what are they going to do when you get to the NFL? Like they probably are going to have to either sew these patches on the jersey, or they're just going to have to, as soon as they do a play, they're just going to have to take them off, because like people are grabbing at the jersey to try and tackle people. Now in the NBA, it's not as much jersey grabbing, but there is going to be, you know, depending on how chippy the game is getting, there's going to be jersey grabbing. So it's like, what if one of these patches falls off? For realistically, I think it would make more sense for the NBA and the NFL to let them play 5 minutes or something in the first TV timeout, come over to the sideline, take the patch off, bring it to the back, get it authenticated. That to me makes the most amount of sense, because, you know, they're, like I said, it's just going to fall off. Like these patches could be, sorry, there's some, I think somebody is outside my window. It's all right. I am fine. But yeah, so I don't know. I believe Topps that they got rid of the other two, but I think it's just like, it's on one hand, sure, it's annoying that like there were multiple patches, but on the other hand, it's like, well, this is what we expected. Like baseball players, some of them wear different jerseys during the games, but it's like for NBA and NFL, it's very common for them to wear multiple jerseys. So I don't think Topps has to come out and say what they were going to do with it. They clearly did. So they made a statement about it. But you know, overall, I don't think it's as big of a deal as people are making it out to be. But at the same time, I'm somebody who talks about stuff that, you know, people comment on the videos and go, who cares? And I'm just like, well, I care. So, you know, people care about it clearly. And yeah, so Rich, any last thoughts on here? We're going to move on to, we're done talking about Topps basketball. We're going to move on to one last topic before we kind of wrap up the show here. Rich, any final thoughts?
Everybody loves a good conspiracy theory.
Right.
So, and there's always a little bit of a kernel of truth in any conspiracy, in any really good conspiracy theory. There's always a kernel of truth. It's not, to me, this is nothing that affects my life. It doesn't matter to me. Most of our audience doesn't, frankly, it's not going to affect their lives either. And I read the comments, and you can tell from reading the comments, this is not something that affects 98% of the people who follow us, we're not the market makers. We're not this. We're just average collectors for the most part doing average things.
Right. Yeah.
You're
And
never
they're
going
just
to find it, so don't worry about it.
right. Yeah. I'm never going to own. I mean, I don't know. Maybe one day, hopefully, we can all dream, we can all dream that we might own this. Chris, any
You
final
might get
thoughts
a
here?
debut patch of some guy who got called up from the G League and sits on the end of the bench for 10 days. So,
Right. Yeah. Right. Exactly.
And to be honest, down here, the G League. I go to some of the G League games. They're very good about promoting. They give away a lot of tickets, but it's a totally enjoyable night out.
Mhm.
It's just fun to see. It's pretty high level basketball for the most part. It's not
Right.
NBA basketball, but it's pretty high level and it's fun to see. And not related to anything like this, but there was a development that came out this week, speaking of the G Leagues, that really annoyed me. I don't know if you all saw, but NCAA has granted eligibility to people who have played in the G League.
Mm.
I mean, are we going to have people play in the NBA and come back to the NCAA if they don't pan out in the NBA?
Right. Yeah.
I mean,
That's interesting.
You should, when your college eligibility is done, you should be done. Are we just going to make the college and the NCAA another pro league?
You're
I
right.
mean, it's. I don't mind players getting paid. Don't get me wrong. In fact, I'm 100% in favor of that. But if you've been in the G League, you shouldn't go back to college.
Right. Yeah. I think they did the same thing in the NHL. Well, it's not NHL, but it's the same thing with college where like there's a guy named Gavin McKenna who plays for Penn State who's like 24, I think, or 23, and he played 2 years in the WHL in Canada, like I don't know if it's a professional. I think it's professional, I don't know
it's
exactly what it
junior
is.
league,
It's
so
the
I don't
like
think they get paid. So,
gotcha. Yeah, but so he played 2 seasons basically at one of the highest like professional levels in Canada, and now he's just playing at Penn State, and he probably ends up being the number 1 pick in the draft for the NHL. But it's crazy that you have somebody who is basically a professional playing in college, which I kind of like because I think hockey, they sort of have to, get a little bit of buzz going, and bringing in the best player from Canada who's not in the NHL yet. I think that's definitely a way that they can do it. Topps also made their card. I bought some of them. Also, there was one of their first hockey cards since 2003 or 2004. They came out with a hockey set. Now they were doing the stickers for the Topps now, but they hadn't come out with a full set until they came out with that card, which I thought was kind of interesting. So the final topic here we have is kind of, feels like at the end of an era on eBay. eBay was primarily, you would see PWCC and then Probstein 1, 2, 3 were for, I don't know. I mean, you guys probably have more of a timeline perspective than I do because I think I've been in the hobby since like 2018, and I just remember these were the 2 main sellers on eBay. So Probstein has announced that they are officially coming off of eBay. They announced probably I think it was during the National they had a booth. So Snipe is going to be their new auction platform. They are leaving eBay the same way that PWCC did. I think PWCC got kicked off of eBay. I think Probstein is leaving by their own accord here. But Chris, I'll ask you this first. What were your thoughts? Have you seen this platform? What do you think?
who's behind Snipe? Do you know?
Well, it's Probstein is behind Snipe.
So he's just taking his ball and going home then.
Yeah, Rick Probstein built Snipe. Yeah, he built Snipe.
Clone then.
Yeah, I mean, essentially, that's sort of.
I'm kind of curious how that would work out, how long this site lasts until he goes back to eBay, because there have been other auction sites that have tried to compete with eBay. I mean, I remember 6 or 7 years ago, Amazon tried to establish themselves in sports card auctions and didn't really work out. And one of the reasons why eBay continues to be the market leader is that everybody else sells their cards on eBay. So,
right.
I I wish him good luck, but I think eventually he'll wind up tucking tail and heading back to the Bay someday.
Right. Yeah. Rich, how about you? Have you, PWCC and Probstein for so long had been the top sellers on eBay. Now it's PSA actually, which is actually kind of that's a whole nother topic for another day. But so Probstein was second in terms of the highest seller next to PSA. They're officially leaving eBay and they're going to be starting this. I think it says November 3rd is when all the listings are going to be on Snipe. So what are your thoughts here?
Working for one of the companies that's in the top 5, I believe, on eBay. I believe I saw the article on Sports Collectors Daily. It's really nothing for me to say a lot about, other than every business has a right to make whatever decisions they feel is appropriate for their business.
Mhm.
If Rick and his team feels it's appropriate for them to leave eBay and try to go off on their own, then that's what they need to do.
Right. Yeah, it just I'm the thing that I am not looking concerned, but the thing that I would have concerns with for this is like, yes, Probstein has a brand on eBay, but does the brand, like, does them leaving translate to them to like I'm just wondering what number of people are buying cards because it's Probstein and what people are just buying cards and it just happens to be a Probstein listing. Like that's
Yeah.
where maybe I feel like some of the disconnect potentially with them trying to launch their own platform. Like it almost makes me think that maybe there was something where eBay finally was saying something about, I don't know how they're running their business on eBay. It's PWCC was kicked off of eBay. Like eBay had put out a full statement. We're not, this eBay has not made any statements about Probstein leaving, but I just wonder if enough people are going to buy from them specifically, versus how many people are just going to continue to just buy and sell on eBay, because that's where all the eyeballs are. So it's like even if you get a certain number of people that do buy with Snipe versus eBay, is it going to be enough to really sustain the business? I don't really know. I think that time will tell there. Because like for PWCC, they I think did their auction house was good, like, and they used the PWCC, and it was good enough where Fanatics came in and bought them, and now it's if people don't know, the Fanatics Collects platform was actually just a re-skinned version of PWCC. Like, so if you go to Fanatics Collects, you can see that like the Luca 1 of 1 that sold through PWCC it says that it sold through Fanatics Collects, but it really sold through PWCC. So yeah, it's just it feels like it's an end of an era here because one of the biggest sellers is deciding to try and do something on their own. But yeah, it's only time will tell. I think we can all make speculation, but we don't really know what will happen until the platform launches, which is going to happen in like another week or so.
Yeah, and as I said, it's every company makes individual decisions based on what they think is best for them.
Right.
And that's their right. And if it works for them, wonderful. And if it doesn't work for them, they'll return to eBay if eBay will have them. So it's important to see whether or not this is a one-off or whether this is the beginning of a trend. And I believe there are some other companies that have been involved in doing similar things. So again, if it's a trend or is it a one-off? If it's a one-off, then they think they're able to make money on their own. If it's a trend, then we'll see what happens. And again, the marketplace, which, as John Keating, who's been very active in the chat, likes to say, the secondary market remains undefeated.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
And I don't think eBay will be hurting just because they lost one account. So
right. I mean, yeah, right. Yes, that's correct. Even though it's like the second biggest account on eBay, I still, people are still going to be buying and selling on that platform. And I just think that people will move to different sellers. Like, I don't know. I don't think that the branding is strong enough, in my opinion, that people are going to not buy and sell on eBay because they want to buy a Probst card from Probstein. But we'll see. I mean, maybe I'm incorrect. Maybe, I've been incorrect about some branding things, and we'll see. But yeah, so we actually are coming up on the top of the hour here. So I'm going to kind of wrap the show up a little bit. Chris, I'll kick it to you here. Any final words for the show? Any final words for the chat? Anything you want to talk about?
What do I want to talk about this week? I got nothing else to talk about, so I think we've done a pretty good job this week, considering. So,
any promotion, anything you want to give a shout out to while we're on the show here?
Check out Baseball Cardpedia. Check out my Twitter, Stalegum. And as always, I know it's been a while since I've been on the show. Keep on rocking in the free world, folks.
That's right. Same question for you, Rich. Here, anything you want to promote? Anything you got going on the next couple of weeks? Like
my next
let the
show, I'm actually, the way our synagogue's schedule worked, I'm actually going to do a TCG show in March.
Oh, cool.
I mean, it's a 20-table show, but it's fun. It'll be a new world for me to try. And then I'll have my regular shows, Memorial Day, Labor Day weekend. And when I'm finished here, I'm going to go to the Frisco Card Show. And it's a small, little, fun 70-table show with free admission. So if I buy something, great. If not, it's not a big deal. And It's a nice way to talk to people about the hobby. So either way, it's good.
Absolutely. Yeah, definitely. And we'll be back here next week on For Collectors. And then I believe I will be hosting November 1st, I think, is the date of when I am going to be hosting next. So that's in like 2 weeks from now. So
November 1st is next week.
Okay. Yeah. So then that's okay. So that's next week then. So I'll be here next week. I guess I'll be the host here on For Collectors next week.
And you get me again.
Okay, perfect. Yeah. So if you like this show, come back next week. You'll get a very similar show, most likely. I guess I'll give a little bit of shout out here to Daily Nonsense, the show I do on Sports Card Nonsense YouTube channel. That's every day. And then just follow me on the, other way.
By the way, Adam, congratulations on Daily Nonsense.
Thank you.
You always did a really good job when you were at Sports Card Daily doing that. And I don't know, do they post like they did at the Sports Card Daily? Is there a recap each Saturday or Sunday where I can just catch all the episodes in one shot?
No, we haven't done anything about the recap yet. It's been, with the video episodes, it's getting the video episodes all together takes a little bit more time than just recording the audio. So, unfortunately, there's no recap episodes yet. But yeah, so Monday through Friday, there's a new episode, kind of similar topics to, if you watch that show, you probably know a lot of the things I'm going to say on this show. Most likely, it's a very similar topics. But either way, if you want to hear more from me, that's where you can go check it out. Also, TikTok and Instagram, posting short form video there. So make sure you go check that out. Thank you, everybody. And thank you, everybody in the chat for leaving their comments. Thank you, everybody, for watching. Like I said, make sure you come back here next week on For Collectors. We've got another show scheduled. Thank you all for watching, and we will see you in the next one.